And we're live. Welcome to School of Performance, episode number 25 with Braeden, Ralla. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's good to see you. Good to hear your voice, man. Been a minute,
Right?
but always happy to chop it up with you, my man.
Right? It's been nice, man. We were talking here a little bit before we went on, and it's been a minute, man. Time flies. It's crazy. We are talking about how we've known each other for ages. Like, I think it's been, like you were saying, what, grade six, grade seven, when I first moved to Canada. All those
Yeah,
basketball tournaments in Richmond with 3D and Drive and all those
yeah.
things.
Grade six, man. I was coming out with Spencer and Bo Eshelman out to 3D, man. We were making the trek Richmond
Bo,
to North Van, and
right?
we were training out at 3D, and those were good, man. They were some of the best players in the Lower Mainland, and just battling it out, man. That was the start of a good rivalry.
Right. How cool is that? I was talking, I had Connor Mahana on as well, and we were talking about how in this small little chunk of, like, Vancouver, Greater Vancouver, such a huge area, with 3D, with Handler and Argyle, same thing with Vancouver College or with St. George's, like these small little chunks of this huge, vast area has so many good players that would later, move on and do great things and on and off the court. And it's just so cool.
For sure, man. It's beautiful. I think it speaks a lot to just athletes, and I feel very grateful for the opportunity to play sports. I think when you're looking at the guys that we knew, it was all about competing, and people wanted to be the best. And
Right.
when you're done playing a sport, you're going to take those skills with you to try and be the best in whatever industry you're in, right? So it's no surprise when I see somebody I used to compete against killing it. I see you out in Israel
Right.
doing your thing, right? It makes me happy, it makes me proud, and I know that when I see you guys, it's all love, right? So
Right, no doubt. That same competitiveness, like that analogy of life, like I do it with the kids we work with the schools out here all the time. Just like in sports, that competitive nature and that wanting to be the best and that not taking no for an answer, whatever you want to call it. Like there's so many different factors that the court of ball or soccer or whatever people play, hockey, whatever it may be, football. That analogy to life is huge. I guess we'll start with that. I think it'd be really cool to kind of reminisce a little bit about your favorite basketball moments, whether it be in high school or in
man,
club
I think
basketball.
just playing against Handsworth back in the day, man. We
Right?
had a good rivalry, man. And then shout out to Big Trazzy, man. He just
Right?
took us over the edge, man. So
Mark
just
Trazzolini.
yeah, man, just competing back in the day and just going to tournaments, and like every tournament we'd run into you guys, we'd look at the bracket and be like, all right, when are we going to meet Hansworth type thing.
Right?
and
I remember that too.
and yeah, it was always dap up before the game, say what's up, and then on the court go to war, and then it was
It's
always
game
mutual
time.
respect after, right? So just competing and seeing guys and everything is a good memory, man, and just makes me happy to see everybody doing well now, and staying hungry, staying motivated, keeping
Right?
that same mindset towards everything in life.
That's huge, man. Yeah, those definitely were good times. You just brought that back up. Like it's been years since I thought about this, but for sure, like I remember every tournament, whether it be like there'd be like those small school tournaments which were more for fun, and I remember like just for trophies, like if you were to win MVP or defensive player, or just and then there was like the big tournaments, which was provincials and lower mainlands or whatever, and it always would be where's VC? Like look at that bracket, like
Yeah,
where's
yeah.
VC?
When are
Like
we
we
gonna
about to
meet,
meet them,
man? When's
right?
it when's it going down?
Right? And I think it was over like a 3-4 year span where it was like back and forth. Like you guys would win one, we'd win one, we'd win this tournament, you guys
For
would win
sure,
this
man.
tournament, you guys would win in provincials. Oh man, that's just good times. I think people realize like it's hard, especially out here in Israel. But this is in English, so I don't know how many people would catch it in Israel, maybe over time. But especially in Israel, like those little rivalries, those little high school rivalries, I think it's something that's so hard to describe. Like it's so unique. That feeling of like these little pinpoints on the map would meet every couple months, and it was this war. But it was like you said, it was all love and it was all respect, and we would dap up before and we would train at 3D after. We would see each other on the weekends, and like it was all love. And it was just when you're on the court, it was battles.
For sure, and I remember being at those camps and being at 3D, and I'm like, I'm a Richmond kid out in North Shore, and like we know everybody, and it's all love. But when you're competing in the drills, you're like,
Right.
yo, man, I'm gonna bust
Yeah.
this guy right now, and I'm gonna make sure he knows how we do it in Richmond, right?
Right, like a little
And
warm up for the tournaments.
for sure, and then you're training in the off season, and you're just visualizing, those big moments, those big tournament games, like meeting each other in the semis or whatever it is, and
Right.
you know, being in that competitive environment just really just brings out the best in people.
That's cool, man. I heard you say visualizing. I'm adding that to our list for today. We're gonna touch on that as well. I love
Oh
that.
yeah, bro. Oh yeah.
I know you personally. We've known each other for years. For those who are joining us now, and for those that would listen in the future, tell us a little bit about Braeden Ralla. For those who don't know you.
Yeah, grew up in Richmond, BC, and went to elementary school here. Then went to Vancouver College, played football and basketball there. Was able to coach afterwards for a while. Had a lot of love for both football and basketball that the game gave to me, and it was awesome to be able to give back. And over the years, just kind of became more interested in health every year, and eventually in 2014, actually, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. So she was diagnosed with terminal breast cancer, and I mean, when you get told something like that, or somebody in your life that is given a timeline, like life really changes really fast, right? So at that moment was a real turn, and just okay, wow, my mom's only 54 at the time, I was 24, and you realize life is really short, and
Right.
you realize right away you gotta go after your dreams, you gotta go all out. You never know when your number is gonna get called. You don't got
Right.
time for the bullshit in life, and you gotta just really enjoy each and every day. And so yeah, while she was going through her battle, we were introduced to a naturopath, and the naturopath kind of just opened my eyes to the power of real food healing, and what real food and real herbs could do for you and your body. And so I used to make smoothies for myself always, and then I started making them for her. And then some other people started asking me, yo, can you make this? Can you make that? And I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I joke around. I never thought I'd be selling cold drinks in Canada, but it just made sense for me. And I feel like it's a step on a journey to trying to inspire the world to live a healthy and happy life. And yeah, we're coming up on 5 years now at Purpose.
That's
and
dope.
It's been a fun journey, man. I've learned more in the past 5 years than I have my whole life. So
Right.
it's been fun.
That's huge, man. I love that story. Like, it's so inspirational, and it's crazy how it takes those things to happen. Like, it could be so many different things, but those personal things for us to realize like how precious life is, and how it's not, can't take it for granted. And every moment on this planet is worth it. And if you keep wasting it, eventually you're gonna look back and say like, I could have done this, I could have done that. Like, just on a personal note, like I have it with Quinn, like with Quinn Keith was my kind of moment of like, I have it tattooed on my wrist, like no regrets. Like, I don't want to be 40 years old looking back saying I could have done this, I could have done that. The only time it can really affect it is in the moment. And once you realize that, it's obviously tough at the time. Like, nobody wants to go through that. But the other side of things is like this complete, I guess you would call it like sort of release, like, okay, now we're on. Like, now, just like game time, like, now let's do this. Now nothing's holding me back. I know exactly what I want to do, and I'm going at it like as hard as I can, no matter what.
Definitely. And I think I remember Quinn was a huge name in basketball BC, and I think we were in grade 10, I think, when that happened, and he was in grade 12. And yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately a fact of life that nobody's going to live forever. So we are all have to brace for, at some point in our life, we're going to be losing loved ones. And for some people it happens sooner than others. And we have the option there. I mean, obviously you have to be present in that moment, and you're allowed to be sad, you're allowed to grieve, you're allowed to, heal however you want. But there comes a point in your life where you got to keep going, right? You can't give up. And I really feel something like that is pressure builds diamonds, right? So you're being pushed into a corner, everything's against you, and you have one option, just sink or swim, and you got to figure it out. And so you could either turn that pain into a passion and use that as fuel to motivate you to work harder. And like you said, to realize that you want to be 40 and look back and say, I have no regrets. So I think it comes with the mindset to know that you got to look at it the way you can, and things you can't change after it's been done, but you can change how you act going forward and how you move going forward, right? So I think
you
it's
can't look back,
important.
but you can look for. That's huge. I love what you said about like pressure makes diamonds. Like it's so huge. I think I'm realizing it more, just like in the last couple months, just the fact that like the conflicts and those quote unquote like negative things that happen throughout our lives is what makes us us. Like if we just had a timeline where nothing went wrong and everything went
You'd be
smooth,
soft,
it'd be
man. You'd be soft.
right. It'd be boring, man.
It would be a blessing, because you wouldn't have to
Right,
deal with any stress. But I agree. I wish nobody has to go
right.
through losing things, and whether it's people, places, things, a job, games. But you have a chance to look at those and take them as a lesson, and get stronger
Right,
because of it. And when you're able to go through those dark moments and you're able to see the light at the end of the tunnel and get yourself out of there, it's a very liberating, empowering feeling that you
right,
really realize, like, damn, we're capable of a lot more than we think we are.
right. All of a sudden, we kind of surprise ourselves. Like I was gonna say, like it'd be boring. Like there'd be no growth, right? Like the
For
only
sure.
time we grow as people is when we face that conflict head on. There's this great thing that someone told me one time. It's a little like it takes a little minute, but if we were to talk about a movie and there's this family with like kids and a husband and a wife, and at the beginning of the movie they're all happy and they're having dinner, and then they go on this they go on this family vacation or whatever, and they get to these mountains and they're up there, and then they're all good and they're having fun and they stick together and they're all close, and then they get back to the house and they're having dinner and they're having fun. Like nobody would watch this movie, you know what I mean? Like the fact that we're so drawn to conflict, like it would,
Yeah.
no one. But when we get this understanding that, like you said, pressure makes diamonds, conflict creates growth, and if we were to have no whatever you want to call it, negative interactions in our life, or conflicts that arise, or distress or any of that, there'd be no growth. We'd kind of just be the same person throughout, because those are the real times where we kind of level up, I like to call it, as people, where we got to face this thing head on and we come out the other side a bigger person, a bigger woman. So that's huge, right?
Yeah, no, I
love that
totally,
mentality.
I believe, the bigger the obstacle, the bigger the opportunity, right? So if you have
Right.
something, a small problem, you can get over that, you can grow from it. But if it's a major problem, for a lot of people, you're going to sit back and let it crush you. But if you're able to attack that big problem, the bigger it is, the bigger the opportunity is on the other side, right? So
Right.
got to,
That's a great outlook, man. Yeah.
yeah, only
That's
option,
so
man,
just
only option.
we're just getting started, man, and we already got these gems. I want to hear a little bit about purpose and how that kind of came about, and that whole process. Like you said, you've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I don't know why, but honestly, in your energy, and even when we were younger, I've always seen you as like this outgoing, like extrovert, entrepreneur type personality. And for me, like we don't stay in touch that often. Like we've known each other for years, but it was always this energy of like, is this a matter of time? Like in my mind, like, is this a matter of time to this guy like opens up a business or goes like global or whatever it may be? It just kind of felt right. Like, so yeah, I'd love to hear about that process.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I
I'm
think
with you.
in
I'm just
life,
getting water here. I'm with you.
yeah. I think in life, I've always brought energy to whatever it is. And it used to be sports in high school. Then after I stopped playing sports, to be honest, I was partying for a bit, and I brought my energy to the partying, and that was fun, but it's not productive. And then I was able to launch my business, and it's been a blessing to be able to put all my energy into my dreams and my vision. And it's been a crazy 5 years, but like I said earlier, I'm really grateful. I've learned more in the past 5 years than I have my whole life. And so a little bit about purpose. Purpose is named after my mother for the way that she lived life. She lived a purpose-driven life. So we're trying to inspire other people to prioritize their health, prioritize their happiness, and we're trying to make it as convenient as possible for them. So we have a brick and mortar location in Stevenson Village in Richmond, and we started out just smoothies, then we started adding soups, then we just slowly have grown the menu. And then I remember March 2020, COVID hit, and it was my 30th birthday. I was in the shop. I used to always tell people to come through the shop, come see me. You want to come see me? Come grab some stuff from the shop. You know what I mean? And we usually have a
Right.
busy day, but it was one of the slowest days ever. It was like 2 days after the lockdown happened, and I remember just being like, damn, man, I have no idea what we're going to do, how we're going to get out of this winter. And it goes back to the pressure builds diamonds. It's like,
Right.
you gotta remember why you started, and all the people in the community and the people that we've been able to get to know and engage with, and just thinking about them and why we started. And it's like, man, we got to figure out a way. So we started doing blend at home smoothies. I was doing the deliveries myself. I was ripping
Nice.
deliveries, White Rock, North Van, Burnaby,
Working
didn't
on
matter.
tips. That's
Yeah,
sick.
man. If,
That's
if
dope.
people were ordering, I was driving, and then
That's
I would just call some other people in that area, and if I knew them in the area, I'd be like, hey, I'm driving a couple packages out to this area. Do you want one? Try and make it worth my while, because I got to drive for an hour,
Right.
spend all that gas. Make sure we're still making money on these deliveries. And I did that for a month, just kind of kept things going, and then since then we've grown it. And we're doing a meal prep now to 8 cities in the lower mainland. So just trying to build our online presence, and
That's cool.
and try and make it as convenient as possible for people, dropping healthy products off at their door Monday nights, and allowing them to attack their week with purpose, and
That's huge.
try to live their best life.
That's cool, man. And you forgot to mention, like, slowly and surely, about to go overseas and abroad and international
Let's get it, man. Let's
with
get
the
it.
food prep. I'm waiting on it.
We ship dry goods anywhere in Canada. So like we have a couple supplements we do in house, and
Nice.
teas, our own brand, and so we ship those anywhere in Canada. But I'll get you some products. Don't worry, man. We'll get that to Israel.
That's a cool, like, just the whole concept of meal prep is so cool to me. And yeah, it definitely helps a lot. I wish there was more awareness. I guess I don't have it written down, but as we're on the subject, let's touch a little bit on that like health side, that food side of things, and how important that is to our well-being, and how we kind of take it for granted. Like we said before, in life in general, we can't take that nutritional side of things for granted. How can we get more aware of that, and what are little things that we can maybe change or add to our diet or take away from our diet that will have a huge difference, from your experience with the business?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that, any of my team, ask my team members, my family, my friends, like I'm on them all the time. I'm naturally energized, but I also put the right things in my body so that I
Right.
can feel this way, and I think it's not about being perfect, because nobody's ever going to be perfect. It's about trying to eat lean and clean, get your fruits and vegetables in, trying to be as healthy as you can. And then you're allowed to, if you want to have a burger and a couple of drinks on the weekend, go ahead and have it. But that you ate good for 6 days this week. So you're going to enjoy that burger. You're going to enjoy pizza, whatever it may be. But in terms of, I think the most important things for me, health wise, sleep, I've learned over the past couple of years. Actually, when I was training for marathons, I realized that you need sleep. So I shoot for about 7.5, 8 hours of sleep every night, track my sleep, and
That's
very
huge.
routine oriented. So this is a little late for me now, but for my boy, I'll stay up a little bit later.
Got you staying up.
Yeah. And then food, like a lot of people just have coffee in the morning, and I don't really get that one. It's important to have it. It doesn't have to be a smoothie, but something that's you get some fiber, and your full nutrients in, and something that's going to sustain you with some carbs as well, that will give you some energy so you can focus. And I know some people fast, and that's one way to attack the morning. But if you're eating breakfast, just making sure it's a balanced breakfast with some good supplements and some protein in there. Your body and your brain need that to function and to be your best. And so we offer all that stuff in house. We have a couple supplements as well. One for focus, to try and help that brain. We all need a little better focus and concentration. And then we have a couple that are for recovery and immunity and stuff like that. And just putting the right things in your body, being aware of what you're eating, and knowing that what you eat is going to have a direct correlation to how you feel, right? So if you're eating something healthy, energizing, you're going to feel healthy and energizing. If you're going out And eating pizza, again, like I said, enjoy it while you can, but you know you're
Hmm.
going to be tired and sluggish in an hour, right? So
Kind of live with the
just
consequences, like be aware where it's going
for
to take
sure,
you.
just being conscious of what you eat, right? And
Hmm.
knowing, like I said, knowing whatever you put in your body is directly going to relate to how you feel.
Hmm. I love this subject matter. Like I look into it. Like I've done the fasting for a while and went like vegan for a while and felt a huge difference. And still like one thing I changed with my like pre-game meals like every week is I've added a lot of veggies and salads and it's wild about my aerobic. Like my aerobic capacity has changed
For
completely.
sure.
Like I don't get tired on the court. That whole
Open
movie.
open the airways, man.
Right? That whole movie, Game Changers, whatever it was factual, it turned out to be fiction with a lot of stuff. But the one thing I took from it is the more veggies we eat, the more healthy foods we eat, the more greens we eat, kind of opens up our blood pathways. Our blood becomes not as thick. I remember they would do the experiment with the plasma, and
Yeah.
you could kind of see through it. Where if you were having like a heavy meat meal, it was really thick, and you couldn't really see through it. When I thought about it, I was like, okay, I studied it. I took kinesiology and all that. Like all our body's functions come through our blood, whether it be oxygen transport or minerals or all these different chemicals or whatever. So if my blood is more flowing, if my blood is not as thick, then everything should function a little bit better. And I've definitely felt it. Like as far as my basketball career, it's made a huge difference. It's interesting. I love. I just this stuff is just fascinating to me. Like if you want to get into it, like just that thing with the coffee. It's interesting to me what your position is on like the first thing we have in the morning. Like should we have something like before that coffee, or should we have it together? Like you said, something nutritional, maybe like a fruit or a veggie, or is it good to just kind of hit the day off with coffee and thinking like we're fine?
Yeah, I find it funny. I mean, I know 95% of the world drinks coffee, and there's nothing
Hmm.
bad about coffee. There's studies shown that if you have it regularly, it doesn't dehydrate you. If you don't
Hmm.
drink coffee regularly, it can dehydrate you. I'm a big tea guy. I got my tea right here actually, and we are talking
Right.
about blood circulation. So this is actually Akeem Pierre, Ritual Foods. You remember
Nice.
Akeem from Palmer?
Shout out to Chemo for sure, man,
Yeah, shout
for
out to Chemo,
performance
man.
and
I
Richmond. Yeah.
drink I put that tea in, so it's the Rich Soul Foods bay leaves, which helps with it's an anti-inflammatory and helps with
Hmm.
blood circulation and blood flow. And then some grated ginger in there as well,
Nice.
and some lemon
Keeping it
just to,
healthy.
yeah, man. It's my daily potion. I've been having it every day for a while, and I feel like I
Nice.
know that it keeps me healthy. Um, but yeah, in the morning, I think people have to find out what works for them. Everybody's a little bit different, but I
Hmm.
think it's important to at least get something that is not just sugar or just some something that's more sustaining. So like for me, I've done oatmeal and berries for a long time. So I go to the gym
Hmm.
in the morning, come back, have my shake, um, and then oatmeal with some blueberries, get those sustained energy, those carbs in there, and then I have a tea, and I usually get a little work done from home to start my day. But
Nice.
it's important for me. You're breaking your fast, so you got
Right.
to you make sure you tack it the right way and kind of go from there.
Right. No, that's huge, man. Those little things, like I always tell the kids and the whatever it's called, the clients I work with, little things make a huge difference. Like our life is an accumulation of these tiny little facts and these tiny little things that make the biggest difference. And yeah, like that morning routine is huge.
Tiny
Um,
tiny changes for big results.
right, right. No,
Yeah.
that's huge. I have here just a whole like just like the name, man, just like your mom, the way she lived her life with purpose. How do we continuously move, or how do we get to that point of finding our purpose? How do we work towards that?
Yeah, I think I think your 20s are a fun decade, and my advice to
Mhm.
anybody that age or younger is when you get into your 20s, try everything. If there's something that
Right.
excites you, if it's something that you feel pulled to, if you feel energized to do, go try it and try your best at
Hmm.
it. And like majority of things we might fail at, but at least you can
Hmm.
go, you try it, and you realize, okay, this is for me or this isn't. And if you feel
Right.
like you're connected to that, and for me, purpose is really about operating from your heart. So you could want to run a business and you can want to just make money, and that's awesome. And you go and you just go try and run the numbers, get some money, do that, and that's what excites you. That's awesome. But I truly believe you can't fake authenticity. And you see when people are running businesses and it's coming from right here, and when you're actually operating from right here, from your heart, you're going to be able to go distances you haven't gone before. Like when you're tired and this is something that you love to do and it's something that you're very passionate about, you're going to dig deeper, and you're going to find new levels physically and mentally that you haven't tapped into before. And I think when you can get to that it's a very liberating feeling and a proud feeling to know that you're working on your craft, you're working on something you love to do, and you're making a difference for other people. So yeah, I mean, best advice, try everything you can.
Right.
And really, at the end of the day, listen to your heart. I think a lot of kids, I'm not saying don't listen to your parents, but a lot of people will do take a job or go to school or something just to make their parents happy, or just because other people are doing it, when you got to have the courage to know what's deep down in your heart, what's something that's going to excite you and energize you, and go all in on it.
That's huge, man. Like just like that concept of trying as many things as you can as early as possible, and kind of finding what like you said, like your heart knows best, like that, those feelings. And when we start listening to those feelings, those body sensations about what feels right, what doesn't feel right, that intuition is huge. And I think guys like us, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like we're hustlers. Like we started grinding at such a young age, and it may have been tough at the time, like working a job and playing ball in college and working and studying and doing all these things. But like we said, like through conflict, you get your biggest lessons. Like pressure makes diamonds, and that early trials of so many different things, I think, helped us kind of find those things that really speak to our heart. And it's totally that. It's just trying as many things as you can. And the other thing you said I really, really connected to is that not being afraid to fail, because like failure in a way is a blessing, right? Because it,
for sure,
like knowing what you don't,
it's a big lesson.
Knowing what you don't want to do is just as important as knowing what you want to do. I had a friend of mine, Yair Shloim, that he's a coach and a sports psychologist out here, and he had this great quote at the end, which it's funny because we're all competitive and we're all athletes in nature. And we were talking about how winning and losing is the same thing at the end of the day. And that triggers, right? Like an athlete, like a competitive sports person that's like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like my whole big part of my life has been about winning. Like, what are we talking about? But it's so true. Like winning and losing are the same. Like that's informative and that's informative. Is this, where do you want to take it? Do you want to remember the good, or do you want to remember the bad? What do you want to learn from? Yeah.
And I think, with the L's you choose, if you you accept it and you just don't do anything about it, then it's a loss and it's done and you lose. But you always have a chance, and it goes back to playing a sport. It goes back to coaching a sport. After you lose, you have a chance to review the game tape, figure out what did I do wrong, how can I improve it, and how are we going to get better? And then it becomes a lesson, and then you apply it so it doesn't happen again. And it's the same thing for us at work. We got a big catering order tomorrow. These things, when we used to have them, stress me out like crazy.
Really?
I'm like, damn, man, like how are we going to do 70 smoothies, 60 bowls for this company tomorrow? Like, our shop isn't that big, but we're going to hammer it out, and we're going to make sure it's high quality. But after you get the repetitions in and you do them, you realize, okay, this is how we can be better next time. This is how we could, this will make it less stressful. These are a couple things we could do before to prepare better. And it's all about, reviewing, whether it's wins or losses, or, you're tracking your progress, whether it's sleeping, working out, your weight is, tracking things, and then looking back and reviewing, what can I learn from this? How can I get better? Or how can I make sure that I don't lose again? Right. So,
that's huge. And important. As you do it more, like you said, that stress factor becomes less and less, right? The more in tune we become with that action, it becomes less and less stressful because we start to feel at home there. And it's so huge with winning and losing. Like I would always say after games, I live by that from early on in my career. Like learn from the mistakes, like remember the good, learn from the bad. Like, don't dwell on the bad because it's in the past. There's nothing you can do about it. If it was a tough loss or the refs or an injury or whatever it may be, dwelling on it isn't going to help you, isn't going to move you towards your goal. But remember the good, learn from the bad. Watch that tape, take those mistakes, and then toss it away. I remember it was Dwayne Wade, I think, like years back in an All-Star game or something. It's something that really stuck with me. He said, like, to play this game a long time, you got to have really good short-term memory. You can't dwell on things too long because so many things are going to pop up throughout your career. And I think this is true not just for sports and not just for basketball, but in life in general. Like, so many things are going to pop up along the way that if you were to hold on to it and dwell on it and kind of be up all night thinking about it, like, I should have done this, I should have done that, you got no room to grow. But you got to let go of that things, take that lesson, and always look forward, like you said, and it's huge.
I love that. D-Wade, Flash, man, one of the best of our generations and one of the best of all time. It's important. I remember playing sports, just being short-term memory. You make a mistake, okay, it's done now. We got to have confidence moving forward. And the exactly next play mentality. And like you said, also with life, we're going to lose in life at multiple different things. It's just a fact. And you have a chance to learn from it and make a change and grow from it. Or if you're going to be stuck in that and that's going to be stuck in your head, then you're never going to be able to progress because you're still stuck on that one loss back in the day. So it's everything in life translates over from the hard court or the soccer pitch to
it's a huge
life.
Analogy, so, for sure.
Definitely.
Shout out to Dwayne Wade. We'll tag him. Maybe he'll throw us on there.
We'll get him on the show eventually, man. His next trip out to Israel.
I'm looking forward to it, man. It's all going down. We're gonna get Traz. We're gonna get Robbie. We got Scott Morrison, all these great players that have played abroad. Diego Kaplan, Ty Kepke. Like, we're all
my guy. School of Performance going international. I like it, man.
No doubt,
worldwide.
Man. We got big things coming. It's all written down, man. It's all in the works, man. It's
about the vision, man.
No doubt.
The vision and writing it down and manifesting it.
No doubt. Man, we got so much to talk about. Like, these things come up like as we go along. Like, I gotta add it to the questions, like visualizing and writing this stuff down. But we'll do plenty more of these, man. I know you got your podcast as well, and maybe I'll jump if you invite me. If I get the privilege of coming on, we'll jump on there and chop this stuff up. Like, we just got so much we could possibly talk about. The next thing I have written down is kind of your favorite ways of improving our mental and physical well-being, like little things, like we talked a little bit before about that food and the first thing we put in our body first thing in the mornings. Little things both on the physical side would be food and exercise and stuff, but also that mental side or that emotional side that is so important, and maybe we kind of forget about a little bit sometimes, because that's something that we need to put energy to just as much.
Definitely. I think for me, I was working out with Akeem 4 days a week. So meet him in the gym, 6:45, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And, it's nice to have a workout partner and have that accountability, but don't always have that. So, you got to set a schedule for yourself. So those are less decisions you have to make throughout the week. You got to write down, whether that's I'm going to work out 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to work out 4 days, 5 days, whatever it is. You got to plan that out and write that out. So, on Monday when that alarm goes off, you're going, it's not the alarm goes off and should I go to the gym? Maybe I shouldn't, because most of the time you're just going to go back to sleep, right? So
that little voice.
Yeah, and I think so. I think the first thing is having a plan, and so writing a plan for yourself. Okay, what are my goals over the next 3 months? How am I going to get there? Work backwards. Okay, I'm going to go to the gym Monday, Tuesday, whatever days it is. And I think starting the day with a workout for me, I absolutely love. You get your brain. You get your body moving, your blood flowing, your brain, you get endorphins, whether it's a run, you get a runner's high, whether you're lifting in the gym, you get that pump and that sensation afterwards. And for me, my most productive hours and my most energetic hours are from 7 a.m. till about lunchtime, because I'm 15 minutes into my workout and I'm buzzing. And then I'm, got that post-workout gym high for the whole morning. And it's just so important to start your day like that. And, you come home, have food right away, get your protein, get your carbs in, and refuel your body. And then the big thing, especially I've learned over the past couple of years, is I remember early 20s going to the gym was all about the aesthetic and the physique. But now it's more of a mental thing. David Goggins, one of my favorite favorite
Mm-hmm.
author and one of the best endurance athletes. He says, win the morning, win the day. So you
Right.
set the tone for the day in the morning, and the best way to do that is get up, get a workout in, get your blood pumping, and mentally you're going to be feeling a lot better for the rest of the day. And then
Mm-hmm.
on the mental side of things is I actually started seeing a therapist last fall in September.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I always thought, I was mentally strong, and I kind of thought the stigma of, you have to be either depressed or in a bad state to see a
Mm-hmm.
therapist. And my girlfriend at the time actually encouraged me quite a bit to go see it, because she could see that, I'm doing these small short-term things, whether it's working out, reading,
Mm-hmm.
turning off my phone, having that alone time with no communication, no screens. Those things help in the short term, but I truly believe every single person should see a therapist, because we all,
Mm-hmm.
and especially as men, and then, you play sports,
Right.
you got kind of that masculine alpha side of you.
Right.
We
All those
hold things in,
masks that we got to keep
yeah,
on.
for sure. And we hold things inside of our, and it just builds up more and more. And if we
Mm-hmm.
don't address it, it really can eat you up inside and change you as a person. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was fortunate to start seeing a therapist in September, and it's helped amazing. I mean, I was going weekly for a bit. Now I do it every couple of weeks, and
That's
I
huge.
just honestly, everybody I talk to, that if they tell me they're going through a little something, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna send the
Right.
email. I'm gonna send you the intro, CC it to this company here. They've been great with me, and I've been trying to convince as many people as possible to at least try it out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm grateful for my ex to be able to encourage me to do that. And then I truly believe the world would be a better place if everybody saw a therapist.
Right. That's huge, man. First of all, I acknowledge you for taking that step, man. It takes a certain type of person to be willing to do that after so many years of a certain habit, and now breaking that habit and knowing that like you have your own well being at the top of your priority list, and if this is something that could help, taking that step. I remember seeing those posts, and I think you put an episode about that, right? If I remember correctly. And
Yeah,
it's so huge, man. It's definitely something that doesn't get talked about enough. Like you start seeing it a little bit, like with the Olympics, for example, with Simone Biles and all these things. Like out here too in Israel, they did like a 4-part series with all these great athletes, whether it be Olympians or guys from first division basketball or guys that play in Europe, play soccer in Europe, and all the stuff that they've dealt with throughout their career. And as a fan, like if I put myself not as a player but as a fan, when you look at it from the sidelines, you thinking like you would have never thought that these guys are going through that. But at the end of the day, we're all human. Like besides being athletes, besides being entrepreneurs, like we're all humans at the end of the day, and we all go through that stuff. And in mental training, there was something you said that really stuck with me just now. With mental training, we constantly, like performance coaching and all that, we constantly look at this thing where it's like you just said it, like doesn't need to be depression, something that comes up for us to do something about it. Like if we do the work beforehand, and if we do that work as a base, everything we do will be more effective. And it's so true what you're saying about like encouraging people to do it and putting those kind of masculine stigmas aside, because yeah, at the end of the day, we're all people. Like we all go through this stuff. I uploaded a post yesterday and about just the whole concept of feeling like our full range, our full spectrum of emotions, like not shying away for that. It took me years. I'm not perfect, and I think we all have something to learn and something to aspire to always be better at. But like emotions aside, and when things come up, like really going through it, because
for
the
sure.
release that it has on the other side is so huge. And I said in that
It's
post,
legendary.
like I'm gonna right, like the openness that we have to life, I guess you would call it, after the release we have on the other side, where we let go of those things that we're so in tune to pushing down and not giving it a spot, is so huge, man. It's really like I call it like really experiencing life. Like I can speak about myself. I always open up on these things. I'm never ashamed to deal to show my like things that I'm going through. Like I was dealing with depression for years, and I think I had this habit for whatever I've seen at home to, when stuff comes up, like just push it down. Like don't deal with it. Push it down. Push it down. Push it down. And I
Be a
think that
man, right?
accumulates. Like right, no doubt. Put that mask on. Like be tough. Be
Yeah,
strong. Whatever it is. Don't cry. do your thing, like go through your business. Don't talk about that stuff, whatever it is. And it accumulates, right? And it takes a hold on us. And whether we realize it a day, a week, a year, 10 years from now, it will come out. And when we build that habit, that's why I acknowledge you and I'm proud of you and everyone that takes that step to start letting that stuff out. Like, we're so free on the other side. It allows us so many options that we didn't have before from that emotional standpoint. And that emotion and that feeling, like working from our heart, working from our soul, that's the greatest superpower ever, man. When you get in tune with that, like nothing can stop you, you know. And man, woman, boy, girl, you know what I mean? Like entrepreneur, athlete, it doesn't matter. When you come from the heart, and I gotta say, that's what I love so much about seeing all your stuff with the podcast and with Purpose and everything that you do, because it all comes from that why. Like, your why is so strong. If you know Simon Sinek and whoever's listening, like, I'm reading his book, Start With Why, and that whole concept. And your why is this, it comes up in everything you do, and it's huge. And you can really tell from watching from the sidelines with you that you're coming from the heart, and it's huge.
I appreciate that, man. That's why I'm honored to be on here as well. And, you know, like you said, you want answers from the heart on here. I'm like, let's do it, man. We align on that. And yeah, it's nice to talk to other people as well who are open about, you know what, I went through some shit. I dealt with it. And I think there's a couple things to that. Is number one, you're allowed to feel any type of way, and don't feel guilty for feeling, oh, I'm sad. Like, yes, you're allowed to be sad if you want to be. You're allowed to be in whatever state you feel, right? You're allowed to, you got to go through those feelings and be present in them. And then it takes the courage to say, okay, you know what? I need to talk to somebody about this, because even if people don't think they need to go to see a therapist, or they're not depressed or something, we all have things throughout the day that trigger us and that annoy us. And the more we wait, the more that stuff builds up.
Right.
And then one day you're just going to snap, and it might not be good. So, you know, just
part of being human, right? Like those triggers and emotions.
For sure. So, you know, just finding somebody and having the courage to seek out talking to somebody. And I think the coolest thing about therapy too is, like, you know, you could talk to somebody, they're not going to tell anybody anything, and you just have somebody who's not going to judge you at all. And it's yeah, like you said, you go through it, you face it, and you go through the ups and downs, but on the other side it's an amazing feeling. And I hope everybody going through some stuff right now is, you know, has the courage to reach out to, whether it's a friend, family member, or a therapist, and talk to them and deal with the stuff head on. And might not change overnight, but at least have the awareness and courage to move forward with it. And, you know, I wish all the people going through everything right now all the best. Just keep going.
For sure.
Keep going.
That's huge, man. That's huge. And when we planned this, we didn't expect, like, this is not something we planned to talk about, but it's just something that's huge. And like, I can see it's close to both of our hearts. And yeah, like, whoever's joining us now, whoever's going to listen in the future, we really urge you, like, to take that step. The other side is magnificent. Like, the other side of things of breaking those habits and everything we've kind of been taught about how to deal with emotions. I think a lot of our parents, like our age group, are really old school, and maybe old school European. You know what I mean? With
Indian,
that mentality.
no thanks, man.
Right? Like, you know what I mean?
You gotta deal with it.
Breaking that habit is huge, man. And it's something we've touched on. And honestly, we can do a whole episode just on this stuff. And I'm sure we will in the future. And like, beyond all the health and well-being, which is amazing. And I'm not taking anything away from it. This thing is huge. And if people listening are kind of on the fence with that, I speak for Braeden as well. We really urge you to take that step, because I think 100%. We both know what the other side is like. And it's huge. I have here, I want to touch a little bit about your journey with the marathons and with the running. It's really interesting to me. We talked about it a little bit, and it was super inspiring to hear your process. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, playing sports growing up, I hated running. It was just never, you know, I'd rather just compete and play some type of a game, whether it's basketball or football. But in 2014, actually, so just to touch more about my mom and how inspirational she was. So she ran a marathon in 2014, and after she finished, she said, "Oh, my back hurt. I think I'll be a little better on the next one." And then after that, found out they originally diagnosed it as shingles, and then it got worse. And then after that, it was they showed that it was stage 4 breast cancer. So she had lesions in her spine. She ran a half marathon, and all she said afterwards was, "My back is sore. I'm going to be better on the next one." So I mean, like, that's the type of energy I was
Right.
around, the type of
That's
inspiration I was around. Like, that's gangster, man. Like, that's
right.
like,
You
you
can't
got
fake
people,
that, man. That's
yeah, you
huge.
got people out here complaining about a sore knee or a
Mm,
stiff back or, ankle injury or something, and like I'm around that type of energy. So that's all I know. And unfortunately, I remember being in the BC Cancer Agency when the oncologist told my mom that she couldn't run anymore, and my mom, being one of the most inspirational people I've ever been around, just seeing the life taken out of her. From She didn't even say anything, she didn't even respond, and it's probably the quietest I've seen her ever that day. It was devastating to see somebody be told, like, hey, this is one of your biggest hobbies. She was a run leader for 10 years. She ran over 13 full marathons, 26 half marathons.
wow.
It was just a beast, right? And
Wow. That's huge.
to be told that you can't do that anymore it was devastating. And so I decided to run for her, and we started a fundraiser, Team Devi, to raise money for hard to treat breast cancers and just show her how much support she had during during her battle. And for a couple of years, the BMO is the biggest. It's the marathon in Vancouver, and we had the biggest team at the marathon. Just a testament to how many people that
Nice.
she inspired and how many people that just showed up for the walk, for the run, because they wanted to support her and show her that she had the support.
That's amazing.
And yeah, so first one I ran, I Googled how to train for a marathon in 8 weeks. I was working 2 jobs, grinding, building the business
That's
plan,
it. That's
and
great.
I was just, like, I remember I Googled, it said how to run a marathon in 8 weeks, and the first couple articles are like, yo, swallow your pride, like, just
Yeah.
run the half, like, maybe you got injured, this, that. I'm just like, I didn't even train. I figured I could just
Forgot
do
about
it.
that part.
Yeah,
Just
and
came out.
yeah, and my mom and her one friend, she was my mom's running friend as well, and she said both of them are like, yo, you'll be fine, like, don't worry, like, you got this. And then, trained for 8 weeks, ran it with one of my best friends, and we ran it, and we finished it. That's all we wanted to do.
Right.
And I remember at the end being like, man, my body is just, you just destroyed your body. You didn't train for it. You just ran 42 kilometers.
Wow.
Our time was over 4 hours, and
Wow.
just wanted to finish it. And I remember at the end of it being like, I'm never running again. F this, right? Like, this is brutal.
I feel
And
that.
then a couple months later was just like, yo, I kind of want to run that again, because the
Mm-hmm.
last kilometer of the run, like, going through the chute, there's just like thousands of people, and they're just standing there cheering and clapping, and like, you got your name
Mm-hmm.
tag on, and they're like, yo, go Braeden, or whatever it says. And
That's
it's like,
huge.
it was electric feeling going through there, even though you're in pain and your body is numb. So afterwards, I kind of just got the itch, was like, you know what, let's try and go a little bit harder next year. So I trained, did it again. I ended up doing 4 full marathons, 1 half. The last 2 I did while Purpose was open too. So I was in the shop 6 days a week. I was running 6 days a week, and this is now after my mom passed away. So I would run. I mean, we're out here in Vancouver. It's raining a lot in the wintertime. So
Right.
6 days a week from December till the first week of May, and I chose to train by myself. And so we're talking six runs a week in the rain, whatever the weather was. I didn't skip any runs, and just put my headphones on, listen to podcasts, listen to audiobooks, listen to motivational
Nice.
speeches. And just running really taught me so much about life, in terms of just putting one foot in front of the other. You want to give up, you're tired, you don't feel like finishing whatever you need to do. And it's the same thing with running. Your body is sore. You have no energy left in the tank. Like, you are depleted, but it's the mind that's going to keep you going. And you're just going to tell yourself, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to find a way. And once you start to break through those, and you realize how powerful your mind is. And for me, it's been just a metaphor for life and for business, especially, the ups and downs of going through COVID. And just, that training has translated to, I've mentally, over the past 5 years, have just become a completely different person, and the confidence in myself and the ability to know how hard I can go, and what levels I could reach, which I didn't know before running, I'm extremely grateful for. And my favorite thing for running was, it's, even though my mom is gone, I feel a connection to her. I feel she's watching over me, and she's like, yo, keep going, right? Like, yo, speed it up a little bit, so it's a nice it's a really special feeling for me. And it's something that I tried to qualify for the Boston Marathon, which is 3 hours for 42 kilometers. And so a
Wow.
couple years ago, I ran it, and I ran 3:01, so I just missed it.
No way.
And yeah, so I was choked. So you got to run under 3 hours. If you're under 35, I think, is like the open category, and then the time goes up after that.
Get to it, man.
Then,
Get to it. You don't wanna.
yeah, well, I mean, I was training for it would have been 2020 in May, and then in March I was on week 13 of week 20 training program, and then the marathon got canceled, and I was like, damn, man, I just put 3 months of blood, sweat, and tears into this, but at least I was mentally and physically in the best shape of my life, ready to just run my business through COVID, and it, at least it translated.
It's funny how
to
things work out, eh? Right? Like.
Yeah. So I mean, and then I just jumped into the first month of March and April in 2020. A couple of my staff quit because they were just chilling, getting the CERB money, just getting paid. So I had no staff. I was working open to close. I was doing deliveries at the end of the day, like just working like crazy.
Wow.
But I feel like all these things happen for a reason, and I was in shape to be able to do that, and get ourselves out of that hole.
I love that. I love those things when those stuff happens, where it's like in the moment you're like gosh, goddamn, like why is this thing happening to me? Like what? And then like a day later, a week later, a month later, you're like, man, like if that thing didn't go down, I'd be in such a different position right now. Like I can't even imagine how I was mad at the time. You know what I mean? And it could be a year later, it could be freaking 10 years later. That's huge. And I love what you said about the running. I love that analogy. We were talking on the phone as well, just one foot after the other. Another step, one foot after the other, and that's so like that's life, man. Like that's life. Like when stuff comes up, always forward, one foot after the other. Like keep
the easy
going.
thing to do is to give up, is to quit, right? And you're allowed to take breaks. You're allowed to pause and take a day off, or to do whatever, weekend trip, whatever you need to do to recharge. But you just can't give up. You gotta just find a way to just keep moving forward. And it doesn't matter if you're moving slow, if you're moving one step at a time, one smoothie at a time, you know what I mean? It's just, you gotta find a way to just keep going.
Those positive habits, that's huge, man. I love that, man. We could talk for hours. Towards the end, there's always a couple questions that I love to touch on. The first one is, how do you define success?
How do I define success? I think the most important thing is success for everybody is going to be different, right? So, and I think that's a great question, where you're going to get 25 different answers on 25 different shows. Success, I think, is doing something that you love to do, setting goals for yourself, and finding a way to achieve them, and enjoying that journey along the way. Because I think a lot of times in life we wait to finish that marathon, we wait to win an award and be successful, but success is loving what you do and loving the process of every day, working towards that goal, working towards opening another shop, whatever it may be. I think success is really in the habits that you do in day-to-day life, and the person that you become going through that all. Right. So for me, success is the journey in the day to day. And whether you win or lose, whether you become first place or fourth place, at the end of the day, you look back and you're like, I gave it everything I had, and I have no regrets there. And to me, that's success.
That's huge, man. I love what you said about like that when we chase this kind of like goal or this target or whatever, that when we get to it, it never feels quite like we thought it would, because like you're saying, it's all about the journey, it's all about the process, and it doesn't matter how high we achieve, there's always going to be something more, right? There's always going to be, especially high performance individuals, like competitive individuals, when you get that goal, what's the first thought? It's like, what's next, right? And then you never really get to enjoy it. And that's such an important point to make about taking the time to really enjoy your journey, because that target, when you get that goal, it's going to be really really short term. It's going to be really really quick, but that process may be like weeks, like you said, with the marathons, or months or years to get to that thing. And if you don't enjoy that, then it's kind of like you're missing the point. I love that definition.
For sure. I just had dinner with a fellow entrepreneur, a friend I was catching up with from high school, and he's been extremely successful. And he was just telling me the past couple of years have been pretty dark, even though you look from the outside and you see his business just growing and just, just expanding. And you're like, wow, this guy is crushing it. And he told me straight up that, man, I wanted to get this new Porsche. I got the Porsche. Then I want something new. And it seems like, you're at this level where you always want something new, and I got it. Okay, awesome. You could celebrate for a bit, and you're always going to want more and want more and want
that
more.
chase, right? Like that hamster wheel.
And it's those things are great, and everybody should, aspire to attain things that you want. But the most important part is that journey of going to go get it, and the person you become along the way, enjoying the highs, learning from the lows. And I talk about entrepreneurship as a roller coaster ride. It's, the highs and the lows. You got to celebrate the highs and don't get too low or stay down too low. You got to find a way to get back up and keep going, right? So
that's huge, man. I love that. And the last thing I always like to ask is if you could catch Braeden, I guess, maybe with ball, maybe with university, but I think the most interesting one would be with the business, like kind of early on. And you kind of pull him aside, like whatever it was 5 years ago, and you can kind of pull him aside and maybe whisper a little something in his ear, a little gem that would help him, save so many headaches and so much wasted energy. Like, what would you tell him?
I would say 3 things come to mind right away. Number 1 is sleep. I thought when I launched my business, I was 27. I'm like, I'm a beast. Like, I can work all day. I got the energy to, I just ran a couple marathons. Like, I can go all day. And I remember actually talking to my doctor about something, and she's like, you sleep 6 hours a day? I was like, yeah, no problem. Like, and it was part of like being an entrepreneur. I thought you had to work all day to do these things.
That lifestyle.
And and it's something that I've learned recently is, quality, not recently, but, a couple years ago, is quality over quantity. So we're learning to work smarter instead of harder. So prioritize your sleep, because if you're not sleeping enough, you're not going to be a good version of yourself the next day. You're not going to be sharp. You're going to be tired. You're going to be lethargic. So prioritize your sleep for your mental, physical, everything. There's so many things that tie to it. And then trying to work smarter instead of harder. It doesn't matter if you could sit in an office for 10 hours and say, oh, I was in there for 10 hours, but how much work did you actually get done? Like, can you organize your day? Can you plan out and structure your week so that you can be efficient and work in, blocks? And I think a big thing is just being present in everything you do. So if I'm present in my work, I know I need to get these 3 tasks done. If I can be present, be off my phone, get these things done, if I'm able to do those in 2 hours less than if I'm on my phone, doing a little bit of work, kind of messing around here and there, the more present you're able to be, the faster you're going to be able to get things done. And then you're going to have more time for the things you love in life. You're going to have time for your family, for your friends, for your partner, whatever it may be. And you can be present in those moments with them. And you're not thinking about, oh, I should have got that done, or, oh, I should have got this done. Right. So I think those are probably the biggest lessons: working smarter instead of harder, getting your sleep. And that's probably the 2 I would tell 27-year-old B Ralla.
That's huge, man. That's huge, man. We could do this for hours, man. And I'm sure we'll do more and on your podcast as well. And I'm looking forward to that. And I just want to acknowledge you for the type of person you are, man. Like I said, man, and I speak from the heart, like those who know me. I don't say things just for the sake of saying them. And your energy has always been what's the word, infectious, like for all the years that I've known you. And it's great to see you doing all these things, and with the podcast and with the business. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other things that we didn't even get the chance to talk about that you're up to over there. And it's fun to see from across the water and all the different social networks, man. And I really acknowledge your work ethic and the type of person you are. And it's been a blast to get to know you and see your growth from the outside. And we'll do a lot more of these, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's a great message, and I love to hear you Yeah, your vision and everything is amazing.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate you having me on here. Love to see, like I said, I remember you since grade 6. It was always, yo, Ash Kanaz, Birdman in the house, go say what's up. So it was always all love
Right.
and happy, like proud of you still. You're still playing ball, man. Not many people could say at 31 going into
Right.
32, year
It's a
32
blessing
here,
for sure.
still doing what you love, and that takes a lot of sacrifice and commitment and work to make sure your body's still in tune to be able to do that. And then now see you launching your biz, performance coaching, podcast. Proud of you, and I'm not surprised you're doing all these things as well. And I'm excited to chop it up another one of these as well. And you got to hit me
No
up when you're
doubt.
back in Vancouver, man.
No doubt, no doubt. I appreciate it. Yeah, there's the BMO. All these marathons, are there ones going down in the summer?
Yeah, there'll be one in May 1st. Will be the first marathon in Vancouver.
Okay, so we'll see. I'm supposed to come out there around my birthday, around late May, but I'd love to take part. We'll find something. Yes, so I think I've talked about it with all these different guests, like with Glenn and with Connor, and all these different with Mike Zayons and all these guys from North Van, but across Greater Vancouver. I think we're going to do a little charity event when I get back, just to kind of get everyone together and just kind of hoop and just kind of play around.
Sounds good. I ran into Mike Zayon the other day, a couple weeks ago, man. I literally hadn't seen him since the Argyle days, man.
So it'd be great to catch up and see people and chop it up and play a bit, and we can do it for the Queen Keys Foundation, and just find a nice day and just it'd be great to see everyone. So
let's get it, man.
When I'm out there, I'll definitely be in touch, man, for sure.
I'll be ready, man. I'm excited.
I appreciate you, man. It's been a blast. Thanks for everyone that joined us here live and everyone that will listen in the future, man. I'm already looking forward to next time.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, man. Keep up the good work, brother.
I appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Okay.